my name is Miss Simpson, and today I'm going to talk you through the opportunities that you would have studying English literature at our sixth form. Firstly, I just wanted to talk you through the difference between language and literature, because I know some students might not understand because they're taught simultaneously at GCSE. So with English language, you would study things like language and gender and language and ethnicity. You would look at children's language acquisition and how they learn to talk, but you would also look at Old English and you would look at the history of English. So that's kind of the English language side of it, and you'd look a lot more at the development of the English language and how the language is used. Whereas with literature, that's your text, so you'd look at different novels, you'd look at different plays, different prose, so that you can kind of build your understanding of text throughout the ages. In terms of what you should be good at, if you do study literature, you should be good at developing an argument. There's always an argument in an essay, and developing that argument and building on that argument, depending on what text you're looking at and the context of that text, is something that you should be looking at. So, for example, at GCSE, a lot of students study Romeo and Juliet. If you're studying Romeo and Juliet, then you should look at the context, you should look at the history of the era and what Shakespeare and kind of what was going on in Shakespeare's time, and you would build on that throughout your essay. So that's what you should be good at, and you should enjoy reading. As part of literature, you should be reading for pleasure quite a lot in your own time, and a range of texts as well, not just the ones that you would automatically go to. You need to build your understanding and kind of build in a plethora of different genres and different ages, so that you have a really good, strong understanding of what literature is. You should be good at analysing. That's obviously a key part of it. So whatever text you get thrown, you should be able to analyse it and deduce and kind of think about the underlying hidden meanings of different aspects of the text. Deconstructing and evaluating as well, like evaluating why and how and the reasons behind a writer might put in a certain technique within a poem or within a text. And really thinking about the writer's construction, so why they've constructed the text in that way. So, for example, if we look at Christmas Carol, which you studied at GCSE, with that text you would look at why the writer has constructed his work in staves. What's the impact of that? Has it got something to do with the context of the time? But obviously the texts that you'll be studying are going to be slightly harder than the ones that you would be studying at GCSE. To be successful in literature, it's your writing skills that you need to match with your reading skills. So these are the assessment objectives, very similar to GCSE, but instead they go kind of one higher, and it's more about deducing and evaluating and including your own opinion. So, for example, AO1 is articulate informed, personal and creative responses to literary texts. So that means you have to have the ability to think, right, I know these things about these particular texts. How can I use my knowledge that I've gained through my reading in my own time? And how can I use that to kind of impress upon the text that I'm studying in class? You should also be able to analyse, AO2, analyse ways in which meanings are shaped in literary text. AO3, demonstrate understanding of the significance and influence of the context, so what was going on at the time in which literary texts are written and received. AO4, explore connections across literary texts, so that's you using your knowledge of literature and making connections across different texts. And then AO5 is explore literary texts informed by different interpretations. You will have some coursework, so now we're on to kind of the exams and talking about how you'll be assessed in your knowledge in the course. So coursework, non-exam assessment, independent critical study, this is text across time. So you've got one extended essay, which is 2,500 words in a bibliography, so that's like all the texts that you referred to in your essay, you'll include them at the bottom. Comparative critical study of two texts, at least one of which must have been written pre-1900s. So this is 50 marks and it's 20% of your A-level. So that means that 20% of your A-level is coursework and 80% is exam. Okay, so you've got two exams and there'll be 40% each. Talking about exams, exam 1 is Love Through the Ages. So you study 3 texts, 1 poetry, 1 prose, of which must be written pre-1900s and 1 Shakespeare play. So for this one, we study Othello, which is section A, and that's your Shakespeare play. Then for section B, you've got the unseen poetry, and you do the Love Through the Ages poetry anthology. And then for section C, you've got comparing texts. So you've got one essay question linking two texts, and that you'll discuss Wuthering Heights within that section C. Then you've got exam 2, which is text and shared context. You've got the choice of two options. So you've got option 2A, which is World War I, it's aftermath, but you've got option 2B, which is the one we study, and that's modern times literature from 1945 to the present day. Again, you study 3 texts, 1 prose, 1 poetry, 1 drama, and your examination will include an unseen extract. So this is again 40% of your A level, as was the last exam. So section A, you get your set texts, 1 essay question on the set text, and then section B, you've got your contextual linking. So that's 1 compulsory question on an unseen extract, and then 1 essay question linking 2 texts. Okay, so for this particular exam, you study The Handmaid's Tale, you study The Feminine Gospels, which is Duffy, and then you've also got Streetcar Named Desire, which is your play. This is the kind of setup for what you'll be studying and when you'll be studying it for literature. So for example, in autumn 1 and 2 of your year 12, so you'll start your literature A level with Othello, and you'll be looking at the AQA poetry anthology as well. Then you move on and you look at the unseen poetry, you look at Streetcar, and you look at the Feminine Gospels. So you've got quite a lot at one time, so you need to make sure that you're good at managing your time and good at managing your reading. Then you've got, in the summer, you've got unseen post-1945 prose, and then you've got your coursework that you work on. Then at the start of year 13, you go back to Othello, you look at Othello again, and you're going to compare the poetry anthology again with Wuthering Heights. So you'll be looking at that and discussing that in further detail in year 13. Then again, you've got the same kind of layout for spring, and again, you'll be looking at in further detail, and this will be where your essay writing will really improve and where you will be producing quite a lot of essays, because you've done the text, you've learned your stuff about them, but now it's putting it into practice and making sure that you've got your arguments and that you've got your understanding with these texts in particular. And then in the summer, just before your exams, you will make sure that your coursework's all done, all finalised, up together, and then you'll just do a last little bit of some unseen post-1945 prose just to finish off before your exams. Now, we've had a talk about exams, we've had a talk about what literature includes, but to finish off, I wanted to talk about some different opportunities that you've got, because obviously coming to sixth form isn't just about succeeding and doing really well in your subjects, it's also about what extracurricular activities we can offer for you. We are really successful in our speaking competitions, and we have been entering them for many, many years. So there are 3 particular ones that we enter. The first one's a Catenium, the second one's the ESU, English Speaking Union, and the third one is the Gabblers. And you are more than welcome to enter any of those as you would like, especially if you're interested in like public speaking or debating. These kind of speaking competitions would be fabulous to put on your uni applications when you come to apply for uni, if that's what you'd like to do. Thank you so much. I don't think there's anything else that I need to add to that, but I hope you have an interesting couple of videos to watch, so that you can kind of get a good understanding of what you might like to study at A level. And if you've got any questions about literature, please come and talk to me or Mr. Slocum at any point, or drop us an email and we'd be happy to respond. Thank you so much.